Oh, I think I hit it. Well folks, hello again, and I hope you're still all in good form out there. Now, I've shot over this piece of hill ground many times before, and there is various videos on my channel of that. But this morning I'm doing something a wee bit different. I'm setting up in a different spot, as I usually like to set up on the top of the hill and shoot down towards this field, setting the hide up close to a large cattle crush. But this morning that ground or that particular field was full of sheep, which you might have seen in my last video have a bad tendency to get in the road just when you want to take the shot. So I made a last minute decision this morning and decided to set up along this hedgerow, shooting back towards the base of the hill. Now the ground in this field is a bit rough and undulating. In fact, if a hooded crow or magpie landed in some parts of this field, you wouldn't be able to see them. But there is a fence line that runs along the bottom of the field about 113 yards away, and if the birds land in it, it should give me a good safe shot. The hide that I'm setting up, if you're interested, is called the Bush from bushwear.com, but there's plenty others on the market that are very similar to it. The netting that I'm wrapping round the hide is one of the stealth ghost nets. I think it was in woodland camouflage, that I've added some clumps of raffia grass to it that I got off Amazon, which just helps it blend into the hedgerow in the background, as there's very little natural materials like long grass and weeds that you can weave into the netting this time of year. Oh my word, I've just realised how thin my hair's getting. I can just see the comments now. You should rename your channel Hunting with Slaphead or Balded Vermin Control. There goes the self-confidence, hey? Roll on the midlife crisis. Anyway, back to the morning at hand. I set up the usual dead rabbit for bait and a dead hooded crow for a decoy. It was one of the ones I shot in my last video, which I set up on a little wire cradle that I make to make it look as if it's standing on its own 2 feet. The rabbit I usually split open and gut to make it look as if something has been eating it, though I forgot to bring my knife this morning, so ended up just trying to pull one of its legs off and threw that in front of the decoy bird. Yeah, hurry up and get that Tammy on before that big baldy scone of yours gets sunburnt. Plus, you've been in this video over 3 minutes and you haven't shot anything yet. Okay, just hang on, we're getting there. The rifle first. I'm using a CZ 527 Varmint, chambered in 17 Hornet. I'm using hand-loaded ammunition with 20 grain Vmax bullets. The scope is a Meopta 4-16x44 tactical, which I have a Tacticam 5.0 and FTS unit to film through the scope. And I have a Wildcat 17 caliber Panther suppressor up front. So I've probably only been sitting 5 to 10 minutes when a hooded crow comes floating in from the horizon and drops down in beside my decoy, which sort of caught me by surprise as they usually don't arrive so quickly. It seemed to be quite an aggressive bird as it started hammering the tripe out of my decoy. I'm still wondering that myself, as it was only 90 yards away and there wasn't a breath of air, so no excuse. I actually had thought the bullet had just penciled through without opening up and the bird would drop fairly soon, but nope, it kept flying on. So between missing that crow and the fact my hairline now had a gaping big hole in it that young lush hair used to grow from, my confidence was taking a kicking. Thankfully though, not all was lost, as 15 minutes later I got another visitor. A second hooded crow just landed in one of the fence posts. It was a wee bit further away, but no pressure, hey. To say I felt vindicated was a wee bit of an understatement. I couldn't see or hear any other crows in the background, so I decided to quickly nip out, pick the bird up and set it up as a decoy. Though climbing that barbed wire fence with the wobbly post almost put me onto my back. Whoops, bit of bad directing there, as I didn't have the tammy on in the last shot. After a while, another couple of birds land in the fence posts. But they're not crows, just a couple of rooks, which, unlike the hooded crows and magpies, don't do the sheep any harm. And, in fact, the farmer discourages anybody from shooting them, as they help remove leather jackets from the ground, which are the larvae of the daddy longleg, and can damage the grass by feeding on the roots. Saying that though, rooks can do a brave bit of damage to a field of barley, but there's no barley up here, so they're left to go on their merry way. Was that a magpie I heard? Yep, there's one sitting on a post at the bottom of the field. And I have to admit, at first I did consider leaving it alone, hoping it would draw in a hooded crow, but then realised this might be the only other opportunity I get this morning. Well, that was a definite confidence builder, and a good sign that the rifle is still zeroed. About 20 minutes later, a second magpie flew out of the trees just behind me and landed right beside the rabbit. You can see with the undulating ground and the tufts and tussocks of grass how easy it could be to lose sight of a magpie in this field. Though, thankfully, this one just gives me enough to get a clear shot of. And what a racket it made, especially since it spooked a whole clatter of wood pigeons out of the trees behind me. So that's 3 good shots in a row, so how on earth did I miss the first one this morning? Anyway, after another hour or so, I spotted some rooks and jackdaws on the grassy hillside in the distance, and among them, all on its own, was a hooded crow. Now, it was getting on to be a 300-yard shot, and thinking back, I should have had a go at it, as there wasn't a breath of wind, but I had forgotten my rangefinder, so I couldn't be sure of the exact range. That and the fact I was convinced it would eventually come down to the decoy and bait. But no, even when a buzzard landed beside the dead rabbit, sending every bird in the area into an absolute frenzy, with what must have been half a dozen magpies appeared from absolutely nowhere. I didn't even realise there was that many magpies up here. And almost every fence post had a rook or a jackdaw on it, but no hooded crow, even though I could distinctly hear it in the background, which kept my hopes up that it might actually appear. Thinking back on it, I really should have went to town on those magpies, because before I realised what was going on, the birds all lost interest and cleared off, leaving me sitting in the hide like a big dummy, suddenly realising all those opportunities and I never took one shot. And I'll probably get absolutely slated in the comments for it. Even after waiting another hour and a half to 2 hours, hoping that something else would turn up, the only thing that appeared was the sheep, which was obviously going to make shooting anything else on the ground rather difficult. So I reluctantly called it a day, as the birds had obviously realised this was not a safe place to be.
Ooh. Yeah. Quite an impact. Where's my magpie though? Oh, there you are down in there. Right. Well, I'm going round because the last time I tried to climb this fence I almost broke my neck. There's a gateway up there, I'll use that instead. Oh, I think it was safer climbing over the fence.
A body could lose a good set of waders in that gateway. We'll just give the place a bit of a tidy up before we go, as most farmers don't like you leaving dead birds in the field. Not that they'll be cutting any silage in this field though.
Not this time you don't. Laird.
Ah, nothing 20 ton of stone wouldn't fix. And yeah, I did tie the gate after me. Well, that turned out to be quite a meagre bag, and my patience turned out to be my downfall this time. Though I do think that hooded crow might have been the one I missed this morning, and that's why it wouldn't come anywhere near the decoy and bait it. But I'll maybe manage to account for it another day. Though until then, take care and look after yourselves, hey.